Hi, porn site man.
The Wade and Carter Show.
Hello, Thomas.
Programming and KHMC Magic 95 assumes no responsibility for its content.
We're getting
the
there,
Wade
people.
and Carter Show bears all responsibilities for their opinions and guests on their show.
The Wade and Carter Show.
Much better.
And KHMC Magic 95 assumes no responsibility for its content.
The UK approves a COVID vaccine, lab-grown meat. We'll talk a little bit about that. Cyber Monday sets records, and the Cold War ended on this day in 1989. All that and more coming up in today's Wade and Carter Show.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the rule number one. No touching of the hair or face. Of course. And that's it. Now let's do this.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
Better.
You got a spotlight on over there?
I did. I'm better today.
Good. That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that. You sound a little bit better.
You're carrying your empathy. It never ceases to amaze.
You sound better.
Thank you.
It's half the battle.
Well, in radio, it's important.
It's the
It
only
helps.
battle in radio.
It helps if you can enunciate. Here, it helps if you can roll your R's.
Yeah,
We're working
it
on
does. We're working on it. That's been a challenge. I mean,
You're very,
it's
very,
one reason I didn't do
very, very white.
well. One reason I didn't do well in French.
They roll their R's?
Yeah, a little bit. Let's do this.
It's like watching you work the board for the first time.
It feels like it today. I don't know why. Not every day.
morning, it's like a duck wakes up in a new world every day.
Well, for some reason, the buttons just aren't firing when I push them the first time.
Synaptic. It's your RNA. We'll get to the RNA in a little while.
Not sure I know enough about it.
The Wade and Carter, well, it's never stopped us from talking about a subject
That's
before.
true.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks and our friends over at Deerland Feed. There's Jackie Deerland checking in right now.
Stopped by yesterday, got an all-in-one tub for the cows.
Why didn't you just get the tub when you got the hay?
I did. I got a hay too.
What did you say when you pulled up?
Hey!
There you go.
And they just loaded up.
They're like, they don't care. If you're a gay rancher and have two cows, no, they don't care.
Okay.
Deerland Feed, just fantastic store, just a great place to go, even for a city person, to go and just browse at all the cool stuff. They have things there, like you go into a box store and they have stuff like called, Ant Be Gone, stuff like that. You go into Deerland Feed, dead. It's like, What is it called? Dead? Oh, you need a quart of dead.
Yeah. Cut right to the chase.
Yeah, it's like it's the real deal. It's what the farmers use. I need something that'll make these rodents be dead. Oh, I got some dead over there.
All right over there.
43 degrees in Victoria, clear skies. Going to be sunny today with a high of 61.
They have some pretty cool stocking stuffers over there, to be honest.
Pocket knives, multi-tools,
Yeah.
cattle prods.
There's nothing. That I've got one of those Leatherman. It's a knockoff Leatherman. It ain't the original because, what I got, I couldn't afford
It's
the
a
real one.
Leatherman.
Yeah, it's made out of vinyl.
It's a knockoff Leatherman. It's a Leatherman.
Thing's handy, though.
It's a Nagahiman. Whoever made that Nagahiman?
I don't know.
Whoever decided that?
Nobody ever got that joke in the 80s.
No.
Oh, how many Nagas do you have to kill for these seats in this car?
The Nagas. You know what's inside that candy bar?
Whoever came up with that?
Nougat. What is nougat? Somebody, anybody.
It's the rendering from the Nagas.
575-9509. If you can really artfully articulate what nougat is, it's like a foamy chocolate base.
But I don't know if it's really chocolate. It's a marshmallowy, but not really.
It's not marshmallow. See, you can't.
It's just a fat rendered from the Nagas.
The old Nagas.
Bobby Leister, first one in this morning. CW Bean, there's Judge Posey. Good morning, sir. Jeremy Pena checking in. Bobby Leister, 336 YouTubers. We lost one. And I know why.
Yeah, we know.
Because I was on YouTube last night. They made some updates and upgrades to things, so I was playing around trying to learn a little bit more about the YouTube. And
Good morning, Judge.
I get a notification that we have a comment on our show last night. So
That's
I go
awesome.
see what it is, and somebody named Thomas Martin, who has 7 followers, and I'm pretty sure is a bot,
Yeah. Russian.
comments and puts probably Russian.
Seriously.
Yeah, and puts a link on there to some adult film site, and that
And
probably
you didn't wanna go.
offended YouTuber 337, so they left.
And you didn't want to go to that site.
I didn't go
want
to
to click on it.
I didn't have to. It was pretty
4
obvious. It
hours
was like
later, you were convinced.
I
it
went
was
down that
porn.
rabbit hole. Yeah. Is that really what that is?
I kept
No, that
clicking
can't be.
around to see what Thomas wanted me to see, but I just kept finding pornography.
Yeah, I think it was like, it was, and this link was like girlsforyou.com or something like that. It's pretty obvious without ever having to click what it was. But
It's like,
then I did a little
right.
research.
I didn't want to click,
Yeah.
but it did.
Well, then I kind of looked back to see if he'd commented at all. But once a week, we get a comment from this bot, and it's another link to another site with a different name.
How did the others compare to Girls for You?
I don't know. They weren't girls for me.
Hello,
Mike
Michael.
Goloski checking in. Chris Conrad, good morning. There's the Iceman.
Ice.
H.R. Mallory, Justin Glass, Andy Rhea Jr., Patrick Strauss, Randy Langston, Tana Smith checking in from Phoenix, Deidre Arnold Johnson, good morning. Norm Burgess, Uncle Norm's in, Scott Snow, 42 in
42.
Frisco.
I knew he'd give us the update. It's only 43 here, so it's
Yeah.
statewide. Good morning, Sheriff
Sheriff
Louderback.
Lauderback, good morning. Tammy Williams checking in. Look at that. She says you sound better.
Thank you.
Echoing my sentiments.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think I saw Christina Wise. Natalie Mayer says 40 degrees where she's at. Adam Daughtry says it was a picture of Uncle Joe Biden when I clicked the link.
Sniffing a little girl's neck.
Scott Tomko, good morning to you. And I think we're caught up so far. Morning to my beautiful wife,
HR,
Cheryl.
did you go to Julia's last night? See, I love being able to give people
Tina Arterberry, good morning.
restaurant tips.
He's down in Los Fresnos, right?
Los Fresnos, yes. And I told him,
You didn't roll that R.
you don't roll that R. Fresnos. Hey, Zip, there's Brent Anderson, 41 at the pool, but probably 82
in the pool. Yeah, let's be honest. Morning to you, Brent. So on this day in 1989,
Did we just agree with the Russians that was it?
Yeah.
That's it.
George H.W. and Mikhail Gorbachev decide that they'll officially put an end to the Cold War, sign
Escalation.
the papers.
I used to wonder, and this is a serious comment. I used to wonder, do you think the Russians kept their side of that?
Oh,
And-
yeah.
but
Well,
you know what I wonder now? Did we keep our side of it? The idea, the naivety, the ignorance and the naivety of the American people just 40 years ago.
we just took both sides took our word that we'd live up to the SALT Treaty and the SALT II.
Well, just think about the idea that folks were aghast. It led to the resignation and the looming impeachment of Richard Nixon over what happened at Watergate. What happened in Pennsylvania and Georgia, the absolute manipulation of the foundation of our republic, a free and open election, trumps that by so much that it's unconscionable. And you find yourself, are we really dumb enough to think that all of this chicanery has come along in only the last 40 years? It's been going on forever.
And the same party that was such aghast at the Republicans miking a room are telling you to get over it
right,
and move on and accept the results.
you look back at the Duke of Duval and John F. Kennedy getting elected originally over Richard Nixon. You look at what went on with LBJ. You know, this stuff's been going on forever, and it was the stuff of the fodder of folklore for years.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's just in your face, and people are like, okay, there may have been fraud, but it wasn't enough to throw the election. So let's just move on, because the outcome is the one that the media wants. So the media wants to move on.
Well, the media has become lazy. I mean, the media has been accepting anonymous whistleblowers who really don't know anything that they're whistleblowing about because they've never been in the room to actually hear the things they said they heard.
Right.
Right?
It's true.
But they ran with those stories. You have people signing sworn affidavits, testifying before legislative bodies, jumping up and down to tell their stories, and the media is absolutely ignoring them.
Scott Tomka makes a good point, and I have a follow-up. He says some accept what's happened and turn away from the truth because they just hate Trump that much. It's very personal. I'll go a step further, Scotty, and while I totally agree with that, the number of people on the left who, at their utmost honest, in that private moment, if they were honest with you, the number of people on the left who would say there may have been something going on, but we had to get rid of Trump no matter what, that group of people just happens to be bigger than the group of people on the right that says, we're not going to take this. We're not going to take it.
Amy Monday says not lazy, just biased. And there's certainly a bias to the media, but they are lazy. They never, ever vetted out any of these whistleblowers to see if there were actually any merits to their claims,
right,
or merits to who they were. And when you finally find out that, you know, some so-called insider was nothing but a mid-level paper pusher,
right, with an agenda,
who heard it from a friend
that you've been messing
around. Yeah, that's basically how it works. Hey, listen, REO Speedwagon came over their Spotify in the office, and they figured,
yes,
this might get me famous.
Talking about you, and it's bringing me down. T-Lad says, I have no idea what song that is.
High Infidelity. That was a phenomenal.
That was a great
album.
T-Lad says the media has been paid off. That was a great album. What else was on that album?
They had like five singles or something like that.
Yeah. That was good.
They all had Richard Marx hairdos before Richard Marx had his
about
hairdo.
1981. 81,
yeah. REO Speedwagon. That's a High Infidelity.
Now, you know
I practiced that delivery.
Do you know what REO Speedwagon was?
I did at one point. Refresh my memory.
And REO Speedwagon was a automobile, early automobile. And that's where that came from.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Maybe I didn't know that then.
That's what it was. REO Speedwagon.
Who made it? REO?
Yeah, like that. It was what it was called.
Okay.
By the way, folks, those of you, several have asked and reached out.
I thought there was going to be so much more.
There's not.
I guess I didn't know that one, because no, that's not the story I thought I would have remembered.
Ash and I send out condolences this morning to Trey Molina, our buddy Funky, his mother, super interesting lady, and Trey's mother passed away yesterday. So just letting you folks know that, those of you that have asked how she was doing.
Chris Conrad stepping up, saying it was a truck company founded by R.E. Olds.
There you go.
So I'm guessing that might have been the founder of Oldsmobile.
Absolutely. Brings content.
What did Richard King said something here? He said if the tables were turned, the media would be going nuts. No doubt about it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And it's that right there. And here's what happens is we use him because he's kind of our token guy, Pete McNally. would say, "Oh, that's not true. That's not that." In Peter's mind, the Republicans are making much ado about nothing. And he totally forgets that Hillary Clinton's been on the election circuit for 4 years, detailing how the election was stolen from her in 2016. The Democrats never once accepted that Donald Trump was their president. Not once.
So didn't accept it. They've spent 4 years trying to convince everybody that the Electoral College needs to go.
And I'll compare and contrast Biden and Trump after we tell you about Allen's Wrecker Service. 578-6300. Allen's is your go-to tow-to. I see the trucks out more and more, folks. That ought to be your sign to slow down, pay attention. It's the holidays. People are going to just pull right out of the mall parking lot. They're upset. Best Buy didn't have what they wanted.
They can't make a left turn because the median's down there.
Dang it, I've got to go down to the brown bag. And then instead of making a U-turn, I'll go in there and have a sixer, and I'm not happy. Right? So then you have to watch out for people. We're going to have accidents. We don't need that. Accidents are avoidable. Allen's Wrecker Service.
578-6300.
The VCS companies, Rocket Oilfield Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer all have things for you for the holidays. If you don't have, forget just surround sound or an outdoor television or whatever. What goes to the fire pit? After a couple of minutes, you want to watch TV.
Yeah.
They've got a waterproof.
Tired of talking to the person sitting across from you.
You remember why you married him?
Wow, it's pretty flames.
Nice. Is that propane or natural gas? You need
that's
electronics. There's a funk that comes off that Duralog. But you need electronics. VCS has them.
Great stocking stuffers there as well.
Oh, what a great gift. If you don't have a monitor alarm system, you're just missing out.
Yeah.
It's not a luxury anymore. It's standard issue. You need it.
Bluetooth mini speakers are they must be the rage this holiday season.
Well, they're cheap.
But they're popping up everywhere.
Sure.
I know VCS is a nice, but they're only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer. They get a nice selection of them.
Great stocking stuffers. The kids love electronic stocking stuffers. Get on there and check it out. Veracruz. Yesterday was Called on Wednesday. Today is Perfection Thursday. Man, the guac, the queso, the hot sauce.
That's every day.
So fantastic. Get in there.
Best Mexican food in town.
It is. It's hands down. That's why they're our sponsor. If we find a better one, we'll make them be our sponsor. We ain't found a better one.
Not yet. Going on 5 years, haven't found one.
Exactly right. And then, of course, Chesty Furniture Company.
116 West Juan Lynn.
Bobby Leon and his family, on top of everything else, they're just nice people.
Yeah.
They're nice people. They're people you want to do business with. I always say that all things being equal, people do business with people they like. You can't help but like the folks at Chesty Furniture Company. You just do better at Chesty. Plus, Chesty and Love make your house a home.
And
down there.
Easier to make your house a home with 50% off all furniture right now, too.
Yeah. Get down there. There's Trey.
Yeah. So what was your
Joe Biden is going, he's getting a little more confident now. He's starting to really think that he's presidential, and he's taking a little bit from Elizabeth Warren, kind of having that, hey, buddy, I'm going to have a beer with the American people. He's a fireside chat. I just want to heal everything.
Yeah.
Well,
on the campaign tour, he wanted to fight everybody that questioned him.
Yeah,
remember
now
that?
He's, we can
I'll take you up behind the woodshed.
Yeah, he's a punk.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
That is about what he said. But now he says,
want to do push-ups?
Hey, man. He goes, hey, man, are you listening to me, Jack? In the next 60 days, another 250,000 Americans could die. Make a note of that. If 250,000 people die of COVID between now and January, I'll eat crow on that. I ain't buying it. So,
vaccine's just around the corner.
In the same breath, all these vaccines that are coming out and being approved, and Great Britain requested tens of millions of ones from Pfizer.
Yeah,
all of these are only available because of the Trump administration. Straight up. Circumvented, bypassed some.
Pfizer didn't get in onto, what was it, Operation Warp Speed?
Right.
But they certainly benefited from the red tape
that was
cut.
By the Trump administration. But you wait, Joe Biden, if this vaccine
And they're
works,
benefiting from a contract that I think has this country with hundreds of millions of doses already ordered up
yes.
from Pfizer. So, I mean, nobody's crying for Pfizer here.
No,
Oh, they weren't part of Operation Warp Speed. No, they only hundreds of millions of doses already on order with a contract with the U.S. government.
If the vaccine is a rowdy success, the Democrats are going to take all the credit.
They're already trying.
But if it fails, Trump rushed it through. Trump rushed it through. You were telling me that this, watch how much I listened to you, that this particular vaccine is the first to work at the mRNA level.
I didn't tell you that.
You did. You said it goes down to the cellular level. Christina Weiss can probably help us with this.
I'll work on getting somebody in to talk a little bit of this. But this is the
Maybe
part.
Matt Moshe can come in and talk to us. He knows cells and plants.
Maybe. I'm thinking Dr. Jazz Hands from over at UHV. He's a biologist. He'll come in.
Dr. Jazz.
Remember that was his advice. Remember, instead of shaking hands or bumping elbows,
right.
do the jazz hands.
Jeez.
He thinks I forgot about that one, but no, and he might be checking in today.
I use my hand sanitizer,
Dr. White?
But I have people. John White?
No.
Professor
White.
Man. He's done. What's he going to
Daniel
tell us about?
Not the quarterback.
People now, I was doing fist bumps and elbow bumps. Elbows, I feel real safe. You ain't get nothing. But the fist bump,
I'm not, because you're doing that and you're within the 6 feet. Well, I mean, nobody's got 8-foot elbows.
So what I was doing, Ash.
No, you already gave it to me.
So I've got people now that just go, "Hey, Carter, how you doing?" And they just stick their hand out. Like they're done with it. People are done with this garbage. Doesn't mean they're smart. We usually lube up afterwards, clean our hands.
That's fine.
So
the UK's ordered up, let's see how many.
Tens of millions.
40 million doses. That's enough for 20 million people to get vaccinations. They've got 66 million people that they want to vaccinate with this. So about a third of the country roughly would end up vaccinated through this. It's a 2-dose process.
How did they decide that? Did they start at the Buckingham Palace and work their way down?
I'm sure Buckingham Palace at the top of the order. And as we're finding out,
the dukes, the earls, the duchesses, and then you
the
work
Earl of Sandwich.
Down. Right, then you work your way down.
Work your way down to Parliament.
Wales is last.
No, probably still Scotland or Northern Ireland.
Right.
They're still mad at
the Catholics.
They're still mad at
Catholics are last.
Yeah. No, but I'm sure the Queen, then frontline healthcare workers, then the masses.
Matt Moshe says most folks won't get the vaccine.
Now that's where I'm gonna. They may not want it. I bet you, especially in the UK and Canada's already talking about this. It's going to be mandatory.
Now, see,
it's going to be one of those mandatory vaccines that you have to get. But here's the problem I have with this because I don't know enough about it.
Somebody help me understand. If I'm a Democrat, I'm all about a woman's right to choose. It's her body. Don't worry about that little baby. Just go ahead and kill it. That's her right. But if I'm going to go out in public, then you have the right to tell me that I've got to take a shot that I may or may not want.
Well, you're a man, so that doesn't matter.
The anti-vaxxers did start several years. I never thought anything about it. I can remember them coming to my school with this really cool, it had about 20 needles. It was a little pneumatic thing. It had an air hose.
I never got one of those.
Yeah, and that's how you get that little dot on your.
I don't have that little dot.
I'm
not as old as you.
Well, you're a Russian. You snuck in here under the cloak of darkness. Here's what you people don't understand.
They gave us that.
He's a Russian first.
Now I remember.
They tucked him into Canada.
Soviet.
They put him with a Foster family. It's like the Beaver Cleaver family up there. They all looked normal. Oh, yeah, they looked normal. They found another one that looked like him, said they were twins.
They stuck us into the Wojnowski family so we could
Sure.
still eat pierogies and borscht.
But then they let him become a Canadian citizen because the Canadians don't care. As long as you pay 80% of your income to taxes, they don't care. Then they snuck him in here and made him an American. That was pre-'89. The plan was in place. What year were you born?
69.
There you have it. When he's 20, the Cold War ends, but he's still an infiltrator.
Cold War hasn't really ended.
Well, and there you
On
have
paper,
it.
it
And
did.
now here, subliminal message spread across the airwaves with dozens of people listening.
Christina Wise says she's sure at the hospital they won't give us a choice. She's waiting for that announcement.
Now I can see that you've got to get a Hep C, you got to get a hepatitis, shot or whatever vaccine, whatever it
Flu
is,
shot,
to work at the hospital. I don't have a problem with that.
TB shot.
That's a whole different deal.
I have a problem though with this one.
Because
Those other vaccines are pretty proven, right? Doing a little bit of research and reading last night on these ones. These are messenger RNA vaccines.
Here we go. Bring it, baby. Tell us.
First ones ever. HR says now I'm a liability to the Kremlin.
Right. You're at least a co-conspirator.
These are the first to ever. And Moderna is the same way. All these vaccines are the same. And everything I read last night on these things, in theory,
You read this on that Girls for You site?
yes, that's where it took me.
I was doing research on cellular, up close interviews.
In theory, I saw that too often yesterday that just got the spidey senses tingling a little bit, right?
Right. It says in theory.
In theory, messenger RNA vaccines are safer and more effective than our regular vaccines.
They may be more predictable. In theory.
I don't know how they are. I mean, now you're talking cellular level. Cells can mutate
They call that cancer.
in some cases,
So what do you
birth
do?
defects in others.
What do you do if COVID, just throwing this out there, COVID has a 99+% survival rate. What if the cure 5 years from now, what if 5 years from now, every fifth child is stillborn? And you find out that Bill Gates wanted to curb, overpopulation. What if?
Well,
What if it's just
you
an
know
accident?
there's going to be no recourse against Pfizer, Moderna, all these. The Russians supposedly have one as well that Egypt and Brazil have bought and ordered a bunch of, but the rest of the world's like, I don't know about that one.
Jeff Fonseca says he's going to have a vaccine and rabies cocktail. Good morning, Marcy Granlund. She says, what if it's against your religion? What if you say, I don't want to do that? I make him in with those little, not a yarmulke, but the little hat. It looks kind of like
With the propeller?
Well, no, I'm thinking more Amish.
Oh, I was thinking maybe that stainless steel colander. There's that order of the
Hey,
spaghetti.
Dawn says I drive that big
Whatever.
big sled so slow. I need one of those yellow triangles on the back of my car.
They're now orange.
I'm just cruising, man. What K New Year? What's she
Says
saying?
my daughter works in a large hospital in Houston. Has decided not to receive the vaccine. They were given a choice, and most nurses decided against it.
That ought to tell you something. There's
Heather Monroe, good
Heather Monroe.
morning. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I
You know,
believe in vaccinations. They have done good things for this world.
I'd like to
The
have it
reason
tested
we
for a
have
while.
the reason that
Wouldn't you like to have it tested for a while? Like to
So-
see what happens. See,
Yeah.
25 years from now, oh, that's Billy, the one with the kid with the 3 eyes. Yeah, he had
Yeah.
he was born during COVID. I don't know. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not anti this vaccine. I'm just not going to be the first guy going, give it to me, man. Because it was developed in a hurry, and it was developed with political motivation. Everybody wanted to get this thing out here in a hurry.
and I'm not against the cutting of the red tape. I think there's too much of that. It takes too long for some things to get where they need to.
Right.
But did this one go way too fast? I mean, we're talking what? March
Oh,
to here.
no, I don't.
Right?
I really don't think they even. Well, yes, sir. They may have started behind the scenes that early, but publicly, we're like July.
Well, yeah, June, July.
Go up there and see what OB said. By the way, Christina Wise, our resident, in as much as Steve Kidder is our legal expert, Christina Wise is our medical director. She says they can cause an at-risk population to be more susceptible to acquiring HIV. Okay, but she also said she would not accept the first generation vaccine. Arthur O'Brien, our buddy from out in Sacramento, says, what about kids in school? By the way, you talk about a man with nothing better to do. It is 5:30 in the morning in California.
Well, because there's nothing better than waking up and tuning into the Wade and Carter show.
Of course, OB kind of has that attitude, hey, it's always 5 o'clock in Cabo. And you can't drink all day if you don't start early.
I mean, Tana Smith in Phoenix is only an hour ahead of him.
Right?
She's up early watching.
He says, what about the kids in school? There'll be an uprising between parents that don't want to vaccinate their kids and parents that won't want unvaccinated kids with theirs.
Doesn't that already happen in California? Because for a state that is probably the most regulated state in the country.
Yeah, right there with Illinois.
They're probably right up there with the number of with anti-vaxxers per capita.
Right.
In the country.
Peace, man. Pine nuts and weed. That's all we need.
That's a good slogan. Put that on the sign.
Yule Gibbons. Think he worked a blunt?
This is good.
He says he's at work.
Yeah, get to more of these. Kelly Frommey says, all those who've been screaming, follow the science, let them go first.
There you go. That's a great point.
That's a good point.
Put your life where your mouth is.
Brent Anderson, my primary care doctor, said she would wait at least a year before taking the vaccine to see what the side effects will be, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Think about that.
This.
I mean, these are medical professionals.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, Christina Wise, I'm not taking the first generation. Primary care physician saying, hey.
Jennifer Caslow says her kids are vaccinated, but doesn't want this one.
Right.
And I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm not going to be the first in line.
I'm not such a champion. I'm not so blindly supportive. I am supportive of the effort.
Yeah.
I'm not so blindly supportive of the product.
And here's the other thing with the Pfizer one, that the Moderna one I don't believe has to be. But the Pfizer one needs to be stored and shipped at like 100 below zero. So then what? Do they take it out of the little case and
that's
because I mean at that
they stick it in your butt. This is gonna hurt a little bit. You got like a big bump on your butt for about a week.
At that temperature, I mean that's gonna leave more than a little mark on the outside of your arm. That would destroy your tissue.
Yeah. See, and Jennifer, this year is the first year that I got the flu shot. My doctor just made me. I went in for my annual checkup and they stuck me. I still haven't got my blood report.
Colonoscopy. That wasn't a flu shot.
I try to get those a couple times a year. I like it. It's almost a polyp.
Well, we got to nip it in the bud.
Right.
Get those polyps before they become polyps.
Oh, goodness. You
just like to recreate the scene from Dumb and Dumber.
Right.
When you drink that crap. Go lightly or whatever you call it. That's the most mistermed product on the face of the earth.
It's
go lightly.
It
ain't going. There's nothing lightly about going when you suck back that thing. The only thing that you better not be wearing light colored underwear when you drink that thing and have more than 3 steps to the bathroom.
You used to have to drink like a gallon of that stuff. Now they give you, it's either 2 or 3 16-ounce bottles. And you knock that back, and the guy says, on the label says, hey, in a half hour or an hour, this is going to kick in. And then you can set your clock by it. I mean, in an hour, there you go, baby. You're done.
Yeah, you're not waiting and chancing that one.
No, don't get caught like across Academy, hoping to make it to that back left corner. That ain't going to work.
That ain't going to work.
You're going to stop off there at the barbecue pits.
Well, the other problem is you're not getting out of the academy before they close.
Right. Just be sitting there, sitting.
You'll be the stupid news story of the guy that we talk about who gets stuck in academy.
Yeah. What did Chris Conrad say?
Let me get this straight. People want to make it mandatory that I take a vaccine that is 94% effective against a virus that has over a 99.4% survival rate.
Right. It doesn't make a lot of sense, except that.
So we're gonna leave more people exposed to the virus because 6% to 10%, and I think 94% is on the good side of this. I've seen some of them are 10% that they're saying won't be affected by or won't have any impact from the vaccine. So we're still leaving more people exposed to the virus than actually would die from the virus.
Yeah, but what they're saying though is if you have 1,000 people, 940 of them will be immune to the disease. Now, of the 60 that are left, 99% of them are going to. So one person out of 1,000 is going to die, which, by the way, is about what it is anyway. Interesting.
Heather Monroe says, here's something to think about. This COVID virus started in China. Why aren't we hearing about a second wave or anything about potential vaccines out of China? Because
China's mad.
Well, because we found out last week, and it's interesting, it took 9 months for CNN to find out. I question the CNN, not the story, but CNN suddenly magically appears with a bunch of, and again, this goes back to the hypocrisy of the media. They didn't trust leaked documents from China and video that exposed Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's corruption and the fact that they're going to be owned by the Chinese come January 20th.
Right.
But they had no problem using leaked information to now expose China and talk about and basically verify what President Trump said way back when, that China covered this up, probably had help from the World Health Organization in delaying any disclosure about the virus. And then I saw a story the other day. The Red Cross just decided to send a bunch of blood samples from last December from donors for antibody tests. And oops, lo and behold, a whole bunch of them came back with coronavirus antibodies in it.
Already had it.
So this is December. So judging by the timeline, if 2 weeks to develop it, some of these people could have been infected in November. Right. So now we're talking about a 5-month span, November to March, where this thing was here. We didn't care about it. All of a sudden, March hits and we become worried about something.
Christina Wise asks, don't we have a CO2 shortage? How are they going to transport and keep it cold? I thought we had tons of CO2 because we had climate change.
Yeah, well, and what else? I think we have a helium shortage, but that's I don't know.
That's when you're fun at parties. Folks, the Great Barn, 920-6803. Reach out to Cheryl.
Helium karaoke.
920-6803.
It's worth it.
Suspicious minds.
Don't pull a top. Don't just take a pull off that big tank of helium though.
Get on it.
Blow your lungs up.
Well, really?
Could, I'm sure.
Deep Thoughts by Mr. Apocalypse. 920-6803. That's where you reach Cheryl, the Great Barn. Some of you will see. You'll see.
You'll see.
We're going to have her.
She's got a couple of events in December too. So
wind services, wind electrical, wind solar.
For all your electrical needs, from installing a new outlet. Instead of running a bunch of extension cords around the house to get everything plugged in this Christmas, you'll save money. And your house will look a whole lot cleaner and neater.
Burn it down.
And the Roomba won't have to jump over cords.
Right.
You won't have to lift them out of the way to vacuum underneath them. Call Went. Have them drop another outlet in for you.
Yep. USA Concrete Coatings, they'll come out. Porches, patios, sidewalks, pool decks, garage floors is where they really make things shine.
They really do.
Fix the cracks, clean up the concrete, put in a polyurethane coat that's antimicrobial, antibacterial.
Won't chip, won't crack, won't peel.
Endless options for colors and textures. Reach out to them, 578-HOME, HOME. And then we're very excited about Budget Blinds and
the UPS store. We'll talk about the UPS store today. They are your Christmas printing and shipping headquarters. 2 locations.
Both on Navarro.
Both on Navarro. So, I mean, if you miss one, you're going to run into the other.
There you
keep
go.
driving from one end of town to the other. But absolutely phenomenal. 2 locations, locally owned. If you've got some pictures you want to turn into a Christmas card, they can do that for you. They've got 5 designers on staff to help you make you look your best and turn them into a nice card. Then they can help you ship them to everywhere around the world.
And they're also a resource on like small printing jobs, things like the Christmas cards, ideally.
Yeah.
But you go in there and say, well, can you do this? And 99 times out of 100, yeah, we can do it. But if they can't do it, they'll put you in the right direction.
I would say 99.9%.
Just
of the
like
time.
Corona
Way
recovery.
better than Corona.
Yeah. That's what you need.
Yeah. Go see
And
the
they're-
housewares. They're awesome.
And they're good people. These are good local guys that, man, they built a business here. They're active with the chamber. These are good local people. They're going to see you at the HEB. You're going to look them in the eye, and you're going to be glad that you did business with them. They're good folks.
You need business cards? They can do that for you.
They do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Andy Rhea Jr. works there too, so stop by. Say hi
Andy
to
is
Andy.
awesome. And I think they're open now to Christmas on Sundays as well to help you with your deliveries. I may have just made that up, but
Well, now you've committed them to it, so
Andy
there you
will be
go.
there.
Yeah. Peter Rinaldi asks, how do we move ahead without a vaccine? How have we moved ahead without vaccines for a lot of things? We've got a flu vaccine that allows us to move ahead every year because it's not effective.
Right.
I mean,
It's a guess every year. Is this the right strain of flu? And that's really, guess what? What the nice thing about COVID is we've had no flu season whatsoever. No mention. There is no flu anywhere in the world right now.
well, the mask might be helping on
It's only
that.
COVID.
I mean, masks can be effective
You
in
don't
helping
believe
stop flu.
You don't.
I don't believe they're effective at stopping COVID.
We could talk about minuscule particulate, but we won't.
Cyber Monday was a huge hit.
Man, you told me that.
Almost 11 billion.
Didn't
On
we
Monday
kind of
alone.
second guess how good it was going to be? They were guessing like 7.5
Yeah,
billion.
I think up 15% over last year. It's the best Cyber Monday. There you go. Open 11 to 4 every Sunday now.
There,
You didn't just make it up.
there you go.
Well, maybe they are
Maybe
now
I
because,
just spoke it into
you
being.
just spoke it. And so Andy says we are open every Sunday now,
Andy said that's
11
a
to
good
4.
idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Brent just had a good idea.
So now they're open every Sunday from 11 to 4.
There you go.
Brent just
Thanks, Andy.
told the thousands of listeners that they are.
The legions of listeners.
But Cyber Monday, almost 11 billion on Monday alone.
Folks, that's a lot of money when you consider that nobody went anywhere. They just ordered it online.
That's why, because you can't go anywhere. A bunch of states won't let you go shopping anywhere.
Yeah, look at that.
So you had no choice. I wonder how much of that went to some of those smaller retail partners that Amazon has that, ship stuff, kind of small businesses, but not really.
Right.
They're part of, under Amazon. What do you think? 100,000?
Yeah. 100,000.
That's all they got from
the
Amazon.
ones that they use on their commercials, we're just helping the little guy. The guy that comes in and flips on the switch and starts
Yeah.
I stutter. Starts at the band, starts the band. It's like Joe Biden.
Working his foot loom.
Yeah. Knit 1, Pro 2, knit 1, Pro 2.
Gets his braided wallets going.
I made you a sweater. One sleeve's a little shorter. It's okay.
What is it? Is it RFID? Are those the radio frequency wallets? I've knitted you an RFID wallet.
CWB. I'd like to see that vaccine brought up to 98 degrees and see what kind of stuff grows out of it.
You know what? They're figuring that out in Singapore because Singapore just became the first country to allow lab-grown meat to be commercially sold.
Who says it's one thing? I thought it was dumb when.
But I got a great name for lab-grown lamb. LA_B. You just get rid of the M. Lab.
But it's one thing to have I think it's Burger King kind of has that.
I've already copyrighted that one, so you can't.
Almost a burger, it's all vegetable byproduct that they turn into a hamburger patty. But if
the ultimate Whopper, isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, but if I have to get a hamburger patty that's made out of something lab generated.
Well, I've never understood that. I've got to make something taste so much like meat to get vegans to eat it. Why don't you just eat meat?
If I have to start getting my meat out of you can just buy the Petri dish, take it home, and like in 3 weeks it turns into a hamburger patty. I'm just going to eat vegetables.
No different than gardening.
It's too much trouble, Brother G's not. You ever see Brother Gary eat?
Is it too much trouble?
I wonder what Brother Gary eats. Obviously, he's healthy. The man's very fit. I mean, he's 127 years old.
He doesn't eat.
He's in some countries they call him Count Gary. He's not a vampire. If he was, he'd be a friendly vampire.
Yeah.
It's for me.
This could be more than meat. I don't know. Yeah. Cultured meat. Gaining
Cultured
approval
meat.
in Singapore.
Cultured pearls is one thing. Cultured meat is another.
James Kerr says he could boil up cardboard and season it up and get the same effect.
Yeah. By the way,
I would put the cardboard in your Instapot, James, because if you, I mean, those Instapots can basically turn anything into something delicious. Kelly Frommey, and I was going to get to this a little bit earlier. I thought the liberal Austin mayor making a video telling the peasants to stay home, and then he whips down to Mexico for his daughter's wedding and parties like a rock star without worrying about social distancing, masks, all the crap. Same thing. Lady in California telling everybody to stay home and avoid outdoor dining, and there she is on a patio eating somewhere.
But what do you have? What's the consistent thread? And stop me if I'm wrong. Austin, highly liberal. California, leftist. This is a do as I say, not as I do, elitist form of government. It is all animals are the same except for the horses and the cows. It is Animal Farm. They're going to do what they want to do.
And this is the hallmark of socialism and Marxism and communism. Yes. There is always two classes. Despite what they try to tell you,
it's human nature.
Greed was never factored for in Marxism. That's why Karl Marx's ideology never worked because, well, two things in my opinion. Greed is one, because humans are greedy. A lot of humans are greedy by nature, but competitive. Humans are competitive by nature. A whole bunch of people don't want to be the same as anybody else. They want to be better than the person next to them.
I agree.
But
fortunately for you, standing next to me, it makes it pretty easy.
It makes it pretty easy for me.
Easy for you.
Yeah. How about I don't have to work very hard.
I wouldn't gloat. I wouldn't gloat. That would be inappropriate. But I know that since the brother man is going to join us here in a minute, I found it somewhat fulfilling that the Texas Longhorns won the drug-induced Maui Classic. Bill Walton was just hot.
Camping World Maui Classic.
Yeah,
that just seems like a mismatched sponsorship for the Maui Classic, because nobody
camping in Hawaii.
Nobody goes camping in Hawaii.
Right, everybody's in a hotel or a resort. But Coleman played well. The Greg Brown kid, the new freshman, is a player.
4-0 now?
Yeah,
and boy, it's interesting.
And they beat some good teams.
They did. Well, they just knocked off the number 13 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. But boy, the people that were calling for Shaka Smart to be fired last year, where are they now?
Yeah. Well, you know what else has happened is he had a nice recruiting year. And because in basketball, you'll learn this when you start putting out that Jaguar program. You don't need 8 good players. You need 6. So if you can get 2 the first year and you can get 2 the second year and you pick up a 5th one in the 3rd year, by the time the coach has been there 4 years, he's got a couple of juniors, he's got a couple of seniors, he's got 6 pretty solid basketball players, and you can build
a program. A one and done here and there, and
yes,
you're in really good shape.
And that's what you need. James Harden signed today with the UHV Jaguars. He's going to play 1 year there, and then go to the Brooklyn Nets.
James Kerr says a lot of camping in Hawaii, huge homeless population.
JB Hull says, Brent had to switch to the Maui Classic because he didn't want to talk football. Is it still football season? I thought, but here's what happened. Shaka Smart gets to toil in the dark.
Was that called Shaka Smith? I apologize.
Yeah, because everybody's mad at Tom Herman. I'm going to throw this out there for the Aggie faithful. I mean, I'm going to put, okay, I'm skipping all the fanfare. I'm making Brother Gary's mic hot. He's hot.
Nice.
You're in. Here's my question to you. Are the Aggies going to beat Auburn? Now, we watched Auburn hang fairly tough with Alabama the other day.
For what? You threw the kickoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but the score wasn't indicative of how dominant Alabama. I think it was like 42-17. But, I mean, Alabama could have scored 100. Do you think
It's 25 points isn't dominating.
you got Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson, not in that order? And to me,
Might be in that order.
and to me though, then there's a gap, and then there may be A&M, Georgia, Auburn, and then there's a gap to get down to Texas and all those scrubby teams down there.
They're not even top 25.
Right, and
The
should
gap,
be,
yeah,
and
the
should be.
receiving vote gap.
The gap of 100 teams till you get to Texas. I don't think that it is being negative about Texas or about A&M or anti-Aggie to say I watched Notre Dame a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, and this Notre Dame program is legit this year. A lot of times they get the Jesus vote. They get the benefit of the vote, to keep people interested. Ohio State, maybe there's some questions there, but the talent is clearly there.
They have it.
Clemson is unbelievable. The Lawrence kid is easily the first pick of the draft. And then you start looking at Alabama, and Alabama kind of like that was their cycle, win, 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 blip, another win, win, win,
Yeah,
win.
they're back.
So where do the Aggies fit into that mix?
Here's an Aggie weighing in. H.R. Mallory says defensively, yes. Offense depends on which Kellen Mond shows up.
Yeah,
Well,
they
I think-
show up at LSU.
You're right.
And, A&M, Auburn's not as good as they have been. They're down.
Can the Aggies beat them?
I think the Aggies can beat them.
Well,
They
need
can.
to.
Tommy Tuberville decided to run for the house, so of course that's going
Right.
to,
Yeah.
turn
Bo
out.
Jackson left early.
Well, LSU's down. See, LSU didn't show anything.
Go
That's all.
Tigers.
They got no quarterback. They got no
They got no
quarterback right now.
quarterback. Mix is sometimes on, sometimes not.
Defensively, I thought they played pretty well against the Aggies. They just couldn't do anything offensively.
Yesterday I saw a deal on Twitter. A guy said Texas needs to go ahead and break the bank, forget about Urban Meyer, and go hire Joe Brady, who Joe Brady, you may recall, was the quarterback coach.
Married a lovely lady
No, that was Tom Brady.
who was bringing up three very lovely girls.
Brady Bunch.
The Brady Bunch. Anyway, when I was a little
You had
kid,
to let me go with it one more line.
What-
they had the box, and they did this. If you look back, every one of them does. They look up, they're like over, over.
Patrick Strauss says the Aggies will beat Auburn.
Okay, so the Aggies beat Auburn. That doesn't put them in the top four.
Aggies have to have people at the top of lose a game or two each.
So, right.
Because what's the Aggies? The Aggies are what, 5-2? 5-1? Oh, 6-1. Yeah, 6-1.
Only lost to Alabama.
It's a great year no matter what.
Yeah, they're doing great. So Texas A&M would have to have some major losses atop them before they get.
But I'm kind of likening them to OU last year. You saw OU went and played Joe Burrow,
Right.
just got smoked. So what happens if A&M has to play Clemson? I mean, I think they're just going to get smoked.
Clemson and Alabama, Notre Dame, all the.
Well, let's be honest. If the Aggies get in, they're going to be the number 14 in the play. They won't be top 3 or 2. So they're going to play Alabama or Notre Dame in that first game.
So Jeff Fonseca brings up a legit point and says if Michigan opts out of the Ohio State game, the Buckeyes have problems because you've got to play.
6 games.
Yeah.
You have to have 6.
I don't know what you do there.
They have a chance if things fall their way, but it's slim.
And JP Hull says if Ohio State can't play a game or two, that's the wild card. And Patrick Strauss points out, I've learned that anyone can beat anyone on any given weekend. Now you're talking about the Longhorns playing Kansas State and Kansas.
Well, and Texas is a 7-point favorite over Kansas State this week. Kansas State has started hot and they've gone down.
Yeah, they had that left-handed quarterback. Is that coach still there?
Snyder? No, I think he's done. I think he retired.
We can't go to Sun Bowl.
Yeah, no Sun Bowl. First time since like what, the 1920s this game may be played?
We've already lost 9 or 10 bowl games this year because of it.
Well, good. That's the one that Texas would have gone to, and they don't need to go. They don't
Pin,
deserve a bowl.
I think the Pinstripe Bowl was next up in Yankee Stadium. I think a bunch in California have been.
Eight, and that's the 9th one I heard.
You're going to they'll make an exception for the Rose.
So now that it's basketball season, well, let's just go ahead and crown Alabama national champs.
Let me tell you what. Texas needs to get this Jonathan Brooks boy out of the house.
Yeah, he did 9 touchdowns last week.
501 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns, 27 carries, 18.6 yards.
Yeah, he's really lighting up that 6-man football.
No, he's legit.
I know.
Let me tell you this.
Trying to make some levity to the show.
This young man understands it. I sent him a note on Twitter and said, congratulations on the 9 TDs. He sent me the routing number to his checking account. I thought that was nice of him.
Get that boy, Texas needs to get it. We've heard all different kind of coaches.
Here's my Venmo.
Right, just Venmo.
Anyway, I thought that was neat. And let me give you one for West. Victoria West wins in Flower Bluff Friday night. They take second place. We get a home football game.
How about that?
If they beat Flower Bluff, the top team, Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial, beat them both. Flower Bluff.
OB brings in a good question. If Notre Dame beats Clemson in the ACC championship game, can the committee put Clemson in with 2 losses? No, that's how I think.
I think they'd have to fall out, and maybe. But
that's where the Aggies sneak in at number 4.
If the Aggies beat handily, like 2 scores, 35-21. They beat Auburn like that. Now, if Notre Dame beats Clemson 42-41, I mean, do we have any doubt that Clemson's a better program than
Clemson with Lawrence back, Trevor Lawrence.
His numbers last week were 400-something yards and like 4 TDs and no interceptions.
Did he play like 2 quarters?
Yeah, something like that.
Right? Yeah, and I mean, our teams are down. They're down.
I would love to get a hold of that kid and market him. I mean, when he gets drafted, he'll be the first pick in the draft. I mean, I hope that kid, not that I have anything against long hair. I'm not making fun of that. He could tighten that hair a little bit. Said, I'm showing up for work. This is what I do for a living now. I want to be, I don't want to be a surfer boy distraction.
Let me tell you something. He's going number 1. Though.
Yeah, he's the number 1 guy.
He's definitely going number 1.
Is he better than Joe Burrow? And is Joe Burrow out? Did he tear that knee up? I don't remember.
Yeah, he's out for the rest of the year.
Man.
I don't think the Army-Navy game's a no-go, James. They just released their uniforms they're wearing.
Oh, yeah, they'll play.
Oh, they'll play. That's too big.
That's Army-Navy.
They're the first to get the vaccination.
Right. They're the front line.
Front line. And
they'll do it.
Yeah, I thought that's interesting. In Dallas, they can't get a break, man. 29th in power.
You don't
suck. They're 3-8. Gee, what are they gonna do?
You don't think John Paul Mitchell's just waiting for Trevor Lawrence to graduate so he can sign him up as a spokesperson with that hair?
Yeah. Well, they can market that. They can market that big time.
Like Joe Namath doing Brute.
I saw a throwback ad to the Joe Namath doll.
Did you see?
He had his arm. You can catch a pass from Broadway Joe. He threw a little ball like 4 feet.
No,
he had a bunch of. I mean, the Joe Namath. Now they'd call it a sports action figure.
Yeah, he's still good.
But he had like a fur coat that you could put on him. He had all sorts of clothes.
Didn't you love him?
He's doing Medicare supplements.
Did you see what he did Saturday? He was on game day picking his picks. I think he did fairly good. He just went with some homers, probably
right?
Also, but he did pretty good. So just want to mention that. Yeah.
Well, Fonseca says that Trevor Lawrence will sign a deal with Prell.
Yeah.
What he'll do is he'll sign one that's like the 3-1. He'll say, you got to move quicker in the NFL. I don't have time to wash and condition. I need a 2-1.
Well, you know what? He could be the next Troy Polamalu with the Head and Shoulders.
Well, he got money on
right.
It.
Let's see what John says.
So
I'm telling you, that football.
Trevor Lawrence tells 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends, and so on and so on.
We have the Gary Moses meaningless trivia comment of the week coming up. Before that, let me tell you this. The Ads and Arbor dealership since 1926, Victoria's dealer. Gary's bought cars there. He's sold cars there. And one time, Gary used to work there.
That's right.
He's done it all. Back when they were selling buggies, he was the buggy whip
Cleaner.
back behind where Daryl Smith works on the trucks.
He adjusted the handbrakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hatsandoffer.com as
They were
well.
called Reigns. 1926, Victoria's dealership. Reach out today. Tommy Taylor says
He polished up those
Stacking
REO
deep.
speed wagons
stacking them deep and selling them cheap. They're just down the street from high prices.
on the Navarro Motor Mile.
If you don't buy it today, they'll be there tomorrow.
White Trash Services, 550-1826.
Need a roll-off dumpster for a big event? You
Weekly
need-
trash collection.
They can do it 6-county region, including Holiday Beach and Rockport.
Saw the lovely lady at the chamber luncheon yesterday. Talked to her for a while. She's on that board.
She's, one thing about she and Scott both, whether it's Go Texan, helping raise money for scholarships for kids or things associated with that, they are go-getters, really, really helped with voter registration. She's a delegate. She does it all.
They're go-getters.
Awesome folks and a
And they
fine,
give back to the community.
fine Victoria business. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull's my favorite Aggie.
Love that guy too. He's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. If you need
You
help,
got 3 kids that are going to fight for that time.
yeah, they don't care.
I see him walking downtown all the time.
Yeah,
They're walking downtown.
that's pretty much what he does. He just shovels around downtown.
He keeps an eye on the kids.
Practicing for
Was he
his,
pushing his grocery cart?
Mama's
I'm
in the
sorry.
front,
practicing for his silver alert.
He's in the back, kids in the middle, mom up front.
Was he pushing his grocery cart?
Yeah.
He picks up aluminum cans and stuff. It's cute. Always giving back. Donate some money to Christ Kitchen. JP Hall and Razor IT Solutions can help you with your analytics, your website presence. They can help you collect money over the internet. They're just good. Reach out to them.
Good stuff.
And, of course, Uncle Mutt's Barbecue. You need to get by there, G. They will do a chopped beef baked potato. You can eat a third of it for lunch, a third of it for dinner, and a third of it the next morning.
Yeah, they live right down the street, so
You throw a little butter in the frying pan in the morning, and now you've got
bacon bits.
The Arterberries are great.
skillet
folks.
potatoes and a little bit of
They
brisket
love
in
you
there.
too.
Yeah.
Katina's awesome. Yeah, they're great folks.
Right down the street.
Jeff Fonseca says he dropped the Wade and Carter name and then tripped on it, Uncle Mutt's
There
yesterday.
you go.
But all we're good for over there.
Somebody wants to know, does anybody have one of those Brother Gary bobblehead dolls?
Yeah, I got some more coming in about this stocking stuffer. Useless, no work to it, but I got some more coming in.
Okay, yeah, Ralph, is it okay if we go over a minute or two, Ralph?
Yeah.
He said, yeah. Ralph said, I didn't mean to wake you up. I have a question for you guys because I respect both of your opinions.
We need one of those in the studio. My brother Gary bobblehead would look good right there every morning.
I got some more coming.
Are you done? I'm being serious here. I'm being serious. So Brother Gary can go back, and you were a kid when this was happening. You guys like Jeff Bagwell.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I knew back then. I'm not making this up.
I play.
I loved him. He was obviously on the juice. Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco. These guys were
Right.
obviously on the juice.
Caminetti.
But Major League Baseball they were not ever fined or forced out by Major League Baseball. There was nothing. It was part of the fabric of the game. It was like getting caught and suspended for having a fingernail file in your glove as a pitcher. Is the Hall of Fame diluting its credibility? But first of all, I don't think that if you put in Roger Clemens, if Barry Bonds isn't in your Hall of Fame, you don't have a Hall of Fame.
I agree with you.
So
100%.
how can you? I get it that cheaters never prosper. So are we telling you now that Jose Altuve never be in the Hall of Fame because of the Astros scandal of 17?
See, you can't. Pete Rose,
I don't know. Pete Rose, nobody ever played the game harder, more recklessly.
No, he was terrific.
So
I think if Ichiro would have spent his whole career in the MLB, he probably would have broken Pete Rose's hit.
maybe so, but like as Mickey Mantle said, if I'd have hit that many singles, I'd have gone to the plate in a skirt.
Yeah.
How about that?
Somebody's got to be on base to give you an RBI.
That's true. But here's my question. As a sports purist, which I know both of you gentlemen to be, does it even poke you at all if I say Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds need to go into the Hall of Fame this year. Boy, they are just barely like they're in the 60s, and you've got to get to 75. And like the guys were talking the other day, the trend is not. They're going to end up off the ballot.
Let me tell you something. Yeah, so many years they're off the ballot.
Yeah, Sammy Sosa didn't get in on the ballot.
I mean, if there was anything more telling during that time period, is the fact that Major League Baseball players weren't going to the Olympics.
Right.
AAA players, because they wouldn't have passed the drug test.
And there was a time when you only wanted so many living Hall of Famers because for a lot of those guys, the Frank Robinsons, the Brooks Robinsons, Hall of Famer Brooks Robinson to speak, $100 a plate. Well, they didn't. Baseball said, we're going to punish you, Pete Rose. You're not going to make a living off being. He's made more money just being Pete Rose. And Mark McGwire doesn't need the money.
No.
Canseco may.
Canseco blew it all.
When Roger came down, event we had over there at the community center.
Yeah. Big man.
Shake his hand, man.
Big man, great player. 7 Cy Youngs.
Yeah, great. I know. I'm with you on that, sir.
I agree.
Okay. Well, there you go. Feel good.
We're done.
Folks, as always, brother man, we love you.
Love you.
And we were talking yesterday that see, people don't know this. Brother man had some ups and downs. We got him through rehab. No, I made that up. I was going to say, can you imagine finding the brother man partying downtown? Probably not going to happen. But he's a bobblehead.
With his orange juice.
But had some health challenges. All started with a tooth.
The tooth.
Orange juice hides the vodka.
Toothgate. But I asked him, are you 100%? He said, folks, I'm 100%. And I'll tell you something that you should know about Brother Gary. Gives all the credit to the Lord and says, hey, as long as I'm doing what he wants me to do, he's been faithful to let me stay here and do it.
Yes, that's it. That's bottom line, guys, for all of us.
Kind of makes you wonder why Ash is here at all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of wondering why you're not letting the brother man talk.
Ratings go way up when he just laughs. That's what Ralph says. He just stands there and laughs. Ratings go up.
You think?
Got the Hall of Famer Ralph Salazar coming in a minute. Alongside Brother G, we'll be here to talk and call them, challenge them, try to stump them, see if they've got an oldie that you want to hear. Have a great day. We love you. We'll see you mañana.
Bye, folks.
Bye-bye.